into the cloud. And Maggie, if you taking over at admitting people.
Yep, I will be happy to do that.
Welcome everybody to the May meeting of the Upper Midwest Bead Society. I'm Jan Carlson, the current president. I'm standing in right now for Rochelle, who's a little under the weather tonight and won't be joining us. So we'll send healthy thoughts in Rochelle's direction. So tonight our speaker is Stephanie Goff, so we'll look forward to hearing from Stephanie. Um, just a couple of announcements. We are looking for board and committee members. Committee members can start this year. Board members would be for next year, although we'll get you involved in the board yet this year. Be aware that a lot of the membership things, you don't have to be local. We can do our meetings via Zoom. So if you have some interest, just let us know and we can let you know what's available. We're starting a new program, support your local bead stores. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of worried about small businesses surviving what's going on with tariffs and the craziness. So what we'd like to do is not just in Minnesota, but anywhere, if you have a favorite bead store, give us the information. We'll reach out to them and we're going to start a new page on our website, support your local bead store, that will be, wherever you are. So if people are traveling, they can be aware of that bead store and stop in and see it. Um, and Rochelle will have more information coming up on this, but just a reminder that we're still wanting peace chain contributions. We've already sent some information out about it. It's basically the peace rings that you make into a chain by connecting them. We're trying to build a peace chain long enough to go around the Mall of America, which is 1 mile long. And uh, Rochelle was just in Hiroshima at the Toho factory, and they are delighted with what we're doing, and they want that peace chain to show up there. So Hannah, did you have some more about that?
Hang on. Yeah, hang on just a second.
Okay.
And I have just a little bit about it, so hang tight for just a
Oh,
second.
good. So anyway, there will be more to come on the peace chain, but the pattern for the peace ring is available. Oh, there we go.
Well,
Spring.
this is actually from 2020, but this is just a little bit of, if you go to teamtoho.net and then /peace ring project, it's just the overall peace ring project. And that is a little different than what Rochelle is doing now, which is
Right.
she wants to go ahead and make a mile-long peace chain using peace rings. And she will be, she's unfortunately a little under the weather today, but she will be back on Saturday for our Saturday Bead Live, and we'll tell you a little bit more about that. And also next time we meet in the June meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So
Sounds
Lana, if
good.
you would go ahead and introduce our next speaker.
Well, before I do, let me just tell you a little bit about what we have planned in the next couple of weeks. So on May 10th, we are going to be doing our Saturday Bead Live, which is in person at the Edina Senior Center. And Jan, do you have that address and a little bit about that?
Yeah, the Edina Senior Center is located just off of Highway 100 and Vernon. Um, and it's really easy to find. The directions are on the website, for that meeting. So it's easy to find. The building is a library on the west side, and then on the east side of the building is the senior center, and it's a lovely facility. And this time we're getting classroom 2, which is the larger room to the right when you come in the door.
Oh, fabulous. Yes. And Svetlana is going to be going ahead, and I don't know whether or not my screen share worked. Did it work?
Yes, it did.
Super. So she will be doing a pair of beaded daisy earrings, which are on wire. And that Let's Bead Live, they are free, and from 1 to 3 p.m. Central, and they're live on Facebook on our business page. So anybody can join. So that's what we're doing for our Saturday Bead Live. In June, we are welcoming Cliff Swain Solomon for our speaker. So that is what we've got coming up. Do we have any other announcements before we go into going ahead and
Anybody
introduce?
else?
Hannah, did you see he changed his name?
Yes, but I think it's still the business name is still Cliff. So
The only other thing that I could mention is that the Minnesota State Fair, we had for the last couple of years a display case. It's uncertain whether we're going to have a display case again this summer because they're remodeling the whole area. So we'll get back to you, but you can be thinking about what you might want to show in the display case. And Becky, help me remember what our theme was.
One bead at a time.
One bead at a time. Thank you.
great. All right.
Svetlana joined and she has her earrings on.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
Good.
We get to see them.
So yeah, right. I'm glad that we were able to say something and also show those earrings in person. So once again, join us on Saturday on Facebook for that, or come live to Dinah Senior Center. Now, Stephanie Goff is our speaker this month. She's a dear friend of mine, and she's been involved with Bijou Bead Store since her mom opened the doors in 2011. But she's been beading for even longer. You can see everything she has at bijou.etsy.com, which as she speaks, I will go ahead and put into the chat there. She's taught nationally at bead societies and bead shows, and she's also done some international bead shows, along with being published multiple times in Bead and Button and also Beadwork magazine. So she is here because I asked her to talk about how turning this hobby became a business and how it sort of had its different turns and twists that weren't really expected. And so I asked her to go ahead and come and talk about that. But she actually does work in another industry. She works in the food safety industry, helping the processors reduce the incidence of food safety risks and recalls, which puts her right in the hero section of my book. So she's going to go ahead and she's going to be talking to us, but I also wanted to mention that she is the reason that I know how to use Zoom. She taught me Zoom, and also she was one of our Toho challengers at one point. So I have that loaded up and I'm going to show it to you, even though she didn't know I was going to do that. Did that work?
You did.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Look at
Gorgeous.
that.
Yeah, that was, I think, 2 years ago, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't this last year, it was the year before last that I
Right.
was part of that. So, and it was a challenge because those typically are not my colors. So I will say that was challenging for me. So,
Absolutely.
but
Well,
it's meant to be.
Let me remove spotlight and let's go ahead and spotlight you, and then you can take it away. Where
All
are
right,
you?
cool. I'm gonna go ahead and share
There you
my
go.
screen.
All right.
Just let me know when you guys can see it.
There we go.
It's got a pretty,
It says it's starting, so hang tight.
yeah, it's thinking about
We're
it.
just going to go ahead and ask that everybody go ahead and mute your audio while she speaks.
All right. Hopefully y'all can see the screen. I'm pretty sure since Hannah's quiet now. So I'm gonna start this PowerPoint. We're gonna do I'll go ahead and take questions at the end. We'll do a question and answer session. I'll just get through this as quickly and as painless as I can. So I just called this session Bead Store Stories because it's just like a soap opera. So life is like a soap opera, right? So are bead stores. So this is our little soap opera and how we ended up with this amount of space and this amount of beads. So let me just go over our agenda today. As you could tell, I'm part of corporate world, so we always have to have an agenda. So I'm going to do an introduction, how Bijou was born, the hurdles and the challenges, what makes Bijou different, classes, now, then, and later. I also like that candy now, then, and later's, but tariffs, European shows versus American shows, and then we'll have a little question and answer session for, or, you know, speak your mind, what you think about me in the bead stores. So I'm cool with that too. So introduction. So who am I? So, my name is Stephanie. My mom opened up the bead store back in 2011. That is very long time ago. I can't believe that we've been around for over a decade now. So it doesn't seem like that long. I'm not that old, right? Okay. So let's see, my beading background. I started beading probably around 3 years before we opened up the store. So it wasn't that long. The reason how the store got to where it was that my mom was afraid that I was graduating college and was going to go away and she was not going to have anything to do. So what better to do than to rope her daughter into a bead store? So we also enjoyed what we did. So, you know, we enjoyed beading. So that was just a plus plus situation. And as I get more deep into the stories and chats about this, you'll find out more about, you know, how we didn't know a lot of things, but you know, you learn by fire. My non-beading background. So let's start with my degrees. I have a bachelor's, or I have two bachelor's degrees. I have a bachelor's in microbiology and one in biology with pre-medicine. I have a minor in Spanish. My master's is in public health epidemiology. So that's a study of the trends of diseases. I did my influence with epidemiology was in food safety. Um, I was slated to become a doctor, but then I figured out that I don't like sick people. I don't like hypochondriacs. That was attributed to my grandmother. She was always in the doctor for something or another, even though she did end up with leukemia at the end. But it turned out that I really didn't like sick people. So I decided that, you know, I wanted to go more of the public health route. So that's how I ended up in public health. Food safety. The reason for that is because I like a beginning and an ending. And a lot of our diseases nowadays, when it comes to like heart disease and stuff like that, or cancer, you don't really have a beginning and an ending. You have multiple factors that kind of influence that disease. Whereas with food safety, it is salmonella, E. coli, listeria, but there is a beginning and an ending. You know what kind of caused it. So that's why I settled in that. I've been in food safety for quite a while, quite a few years now, and I work in the private industry. So I go into these food processors and I help them either become, you know, compliant with all of their rules and regulations when it comes to government standards, become compliant and pass audits for private industry standards. And I also help them reduce the amount of bacteria that goes through their facilities and into to the end consumer. So making sure that you guys don't get sick when you guys eat. So that is my end goal. So that is my non-beading background and a little bit of my beading background. So how Bijou was born. So it went from a hobby to a hustle, just like most of things that you go where you're really interested in it. You're like, hey, I want to do this full time. So, and like I said, I kind of alluded a little bit to it before. My mom, her name is Monica. She's the actual owner. She is not as photogenic as me, so she does not like to be in front of a camera. So therefore, I am the nominated spokesperson for the place. But so she was the one that really wanted to start a bead store. Again, she was afraid that once I graduated college that I was going to go away and she was going to get bored because she didn't have to do a lot with me. So she was like, you know, let me open up a bead store. I have fun. I enjoy beading. She had a couple friends that beaded at the time, so it was just a win-win situation for her. So I still haven't gone to Argentina. And the reason I say that is because we were supposed to be going to Argentina with the funds that she used to start the bead store. So Argentina is on our walls at the bead store. So I never got to go there yet. Um, And we were supposed to go out there because we actually have family out there. My mom is from there originally. So, she was born there. She came here when she was 5 years old to the United States. She's a citizen yet now. She became a citizen a long, long time ago. But, we still have family out there that I haven't met and everything like that. So we were supposed to be going out there just to take a trip, visit family, go see the area. And instead we, opened a bead store. So, we had to find something to set ourselves apart from other people. There were a lot of bead stores in the area at the time. Now there's not so many. So now we don't really, nobody really worries about the competition right now. But back in the day, back in 2010 to 2011, that was the heyday. Bead and Butt was rocking, everything was going on. Everybody was all about beading. You could find beading magazines at the Barnes and Nobles. It was top tier back then. So, there was competition in the area with bead stores. Our goal was never to put anybody out of business or whatever the case may be. We just wanted to create a store and create a little niche for ourselves, and be part of the beading community. Therefore, we started off with a huge vintage lot. We were able to acquire a vintage lot of beads and crystals, and that's pretty much what we opened the store with, was that and seed beads, even though our seed bead order was delayed. So we didn't have seed beads when we first opened. We had to wait a couple weeks before they actually came in. So that was a lot of fun, and it set us apart from everybody else. So that way we weren't the same. We didn't have, the same instructors, we didn't have the same materials. So, people would come to us for a little bit of special things and not feel like that we were trying to invade anybody else's business or space. So like I said, we hit the ground running. We opened in 2011. That was our soft opening, was November of 2011. We stayed at soft opening because, again, we didn't have sea beads or all the supplies at the time. But by the end of 2012, we had our first national instructor. So that's what I mean by hit the ground running. Like, I did not waste any time. I was contacting people because I wanted this to survive and I wanted to thrive. Our goal was to fill the walls. We had very little product on the walls at the time. You would be surprised how much it takes to fill 1,400 square feet. Takes a lot. So, I learned that. We learned product spacing very well. We had like really large spaces in between everything. And I actually looked for a picture from back when we first opened, but I apparently my phone now does not store pictures from way back when, so I could not find any of those pictures. But I do remember we had huge spaces in between some of our products. So filling the walls was a task. I still remember the first sale that I made that was over $100, and I was really scared to tell the lady that she spent over $100 in beads. Yeah, okay. So most people are like, yeah, I could spend that in like just one trip to a bead store. So, but it was those milestone moments that, just stick in my head and make it different. So, the other thing we wanted was no drama. We were no drama llamas. So, one thing about us is that, we did have a lot of bead stores in the area at the time. So we prided ourselves with, this is a drama-free zone. So we don't want anybody talking about, this bead store is doing this. Are you going to do this just like them? Because like I said, we always intended to march to the beat of our own drum and have a no drama zone. We're there for fun. We're not there for, to compete with anybody. We wanted everybody to succeed because that way the art would survive. So that was our goals, and that's how Bijou was born. So hurdles and challenges. So when we opened, of course, inventory, alluded to that before, we had no clue how much was needed to fill 1,400 square feet. With most of that being, as you can see the picture from the first picture that I opened up, it's just a huge empty open space. It doesn't have walls unless, it's like the walls on the side or anything like that. So it was just big and huge. My dad hung the lights himself inside. We had literally 2 lights inside. So we hung all the lights, we hung all the slat wall, we hung everything. We painted the floor, everything. engagement. How do you get people to come in? And that's kind of like when I said hit the ground running, that we just started immediately with trying to find national instructors. So, and the reason is because it was just, we really wanted it to succeed. Business and friendship. So that was a hurdle and a challenge when we first opened. Sometimes the two don't mix, so you need to be careful. We had a lot of people when we first decided to open up that wanted to go, have Z's or, have part in the bead store, but my mom decided that she wanted to do it on her own, and for the matter that, business and friendship sometimes don't mix. We didn't want to lose friendships over business. So, thankfully that panned out well for us. So challenges now, because challenges continue up until forever. So now our challenges is how do we get people to come back into the bead shops? I was saying before, when the meeting first opened, that that you guys are worried about the bead shops, and rightfully so. You should be, because there are a lot of them that are closing down, and a lot of them did not survive COVID. And the reason is because they didn't have the platform to be able to be online all the time, and to be able to service everything. Do you realize how many beads you have to list on Etsy and stuff like that? Would just, most small businesses don't have that capacity to be able, or the employment to be able to actually handle that. So having people come back into the shops like they used to has been a real challenge. So teachers and retreats, it's hard. Nowadays, people before used to go to either Bead and Button Show, or they used to go to the bead stores, to take national instructors. Now we have cruises and retreats and all this other stuff that, hell, I'm with you. I'd rather go on vacation and take a couple beading classes, but it makes it really difficult for the stores to survive. The stores used to get, a huge influx of people and money when we had national instructors. And that's what kind of let us go through the times where we didn't have a lot of people in the shops. Beading is a luxury. It's not a necessity. It's not, people don't need it. It's not like food. So we do want to make it fun, but we also want to make it last and endure. So, and then challenges now are aging out. How do we get the newer generation, younger than me even, to be able to be interested in beading? I mean, I did it because it was great for stress relief. But right now we're in the zone of instant gratification, where people are just, they just look for an instant gratification just to buy something online from Shein or Temu or whatever the case may be, and it just shows up at their door already made. So how do we, spread the art out to the younger generation that they keep it going? So those are some of the hurdles and challenges from yesterday and today. So what makes Bijou different? So we wanted, different products and stuff like that, just to encourage different situations. So we have, vintage, a huge vintage stock. We have actual Italian soutache, which is, that's a tough thing to find sometimes. We also do gold work now. So that does a lot with bead embroidery. And then we like to have fun. So let's see if we play this video. So that was one of our Halloween parties back in the day. We used to string up piñatas and have piñatas filled with beads. So, and people would hit the piñata and then beads would come out. We just like to have fun. We're just a good group of people that enjoy spreading the joy of beading and, having a good time doing it, whether it be the candy bowl that's right in front, or it be, sharing what we're working on, our designs, or talking about, national instructors or whatever. It's just fun for us. This might play again as we're moving. It is. Okay. All right. So classes. So we do have classes still. They're Zoom and in person. Before they were just in person. So later, who knows what classes are going to entail with the way technology is going. The difficulty that we have is that, like everybody enjoys Zoom, and Zoom is a great thing. Like I said, it brought people together during COVID. But I feel like sometimes it's drawing us apart now because, you know, people just don't go into the stores anymore. So, and we're not in the middle of nowhere. We're outside of Atlanta. So, you know, but still to this day, we have people that we'll take a class and we'll bring somebody in like Cliff or like Hannah or like Cynthia Rutledge. And they're 20 minutes away and they'll still take the class via Zoom instead of coming into the shop. So, you know, so that is a, you know, just another challenge and a hurdle, but you know, it's reality. It's the world that we live in now. So let's go on to the next page. So let's talk about the this tariffs and how this is gonna impact everybody. So let's be honest. Everything that comes from the beading world does not come from the United States. You know, it is made elsewhere and is brought in. So we're talking about sourcing and we're talking about COO, which is country of origin. So tariffs, depending on the country that they're coming from, can range anywhere between 10% to over 100% at this point. So that's double the cost. So this is going to be really tough for the middlemen. Not just your people like Beadsmith or Starman or John Bead or whoever that brings in caravan beads that bring in supplies from the distributors, but they are the middlemen. So you guys are the end consumers and we're the people in the middle. We're the retailers. So, how much of the costs are the middlemen going to eat? How much of the costs are the retailers going to eat? And how much of the costs gets passed on to the end consumer? At Bijou, we decided that we're not raising prices, mostly because we have enough stock to be able to lead us along for a little while. Whereas we don't have to purchase things other than essentials, where it be fire line needles, that kind of thing. But we're in the holding pattern of let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what happens. Let's wait and see what the administration does. It's just that kind of thing. We just have to go for a minute to figure out what's going to happen. As we look at our suppliers, they're a lot in the same situation. A lot of them are in the wait and see situation as well. They don't necessarily want to say, you know, hell, we're going to go ahead and charge people this amount of money. But some of them are already charging tariffs. And it's just because they have to prepare for the shipments that are going to be coming. So whether they charge a smaller tariff now or a larger tariff later when it actually comes, you know, or they hold off on ordering product altogether, they're kind of in the same situation. It's really unfortunate for the end consumer, for you guys. And the reason is because we're all in I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. We've never seen this play out before. So, this is what's happening. Now, I have been to other countries, purchased things from other countries, shipped things out to other countries. And, you know, it's not an odd situation for the other countries to have to pay to import things. It's just for the United States. This is something that we have never really seen on our side. So other countries are used to this and are used to paying a fee on top of what they purchase the item for. Not saying that it's fair for us and not saying that it's fair for anybody to have to deal with this, especially when everything of ours comes from somewhere else and not here. But it is the situation at hand right now, and it is what we have to wait and see about. So I know that's kind of like a iffy situation. I wish I had answers for everything, but that's just how we're handling it right now. So last thing I wanted to talk about was European shows versus American shows. So Hannah said that I taught at various different shows, and I have. And I've taught at Bead and Button Bead Fest, and I also taught at Master Beads, that's in Italy. So I was a teacher and exhibitor at both of those shows. So Bead and Button, again, large show, was dedicated to the art of beading and just beading in general. They had classes galore, but they were really expensive. I remember, you know, the fact of what they were charging versus what I would charge in a bead store. I was like, wow, what a difference. And not that the teachers got all that either, so. And then meet the teachers. So it was probably what I remember from people seeing and being there was their most loved part of the show. And the reason was is back in the day, like, you know, not everybody could get to a bead store, you know, to be able to take a class. And not all teachers were traveling the United States teaching at all these places either at the time, but the majority of them would make the pilgrimage out to Bead and Button. So it was your one opportunity to be able to see your favorite instructor, and to, you know, just buy whatever you wanted to from those instructors at the time. And, you know, so it was a great time for everybody. Um, so versus the European shows. So what I went to was Master Beads in Italy. It's part of a larger show, which is, you know, just a general craft show. So it is combined with all different crafts. It was humongous. So it was double the size of Bead and Button, but keep in mind, there were all types of crafts there, mostly fiber arts, so a lot of crocheting, a lot of embroidery, a lot of sewing, a lot of that kind of stuff. Beading at the time when I was there, which was 2 years ago, um, was not as popular. So, you know, kind of alludes to what's going on here in the United States right now. Um, so it was in a down slope right there, but there were still people that took classes. Their classes were on display in the center, and I'm going to show you some pictures in just a little bit. But there, I would say that where here we like challenging things, we like challenging classes. Over there in Europe, they were all about cheap and easy. So it wasn't necessarily the really challenging stuff. Even when it came to like the embroidery stuff, it was a lot of it was just crystals that you set and then sewed on and then had a day with it. So it really wasn't what we're here used to here in the United States. So here's some pictures. So as you can see, this was like the display in the middle here where you had, you know, the booths, and you had little different you know, people that were selling some of their kits and stuff like that. On this side right here at the time was Alexandra Sidorenko. Here we had Anna, and she was from Sweden. I can't remember who was on this side, but I think one was from Germany. And then we also had somebody that was from Norway or something like that. Um, so as you can tell, you know, these were just some of the vendors that were out there. So, and you know, they had Chinese crystal and all this other stuff, but again, this was one of the bead vendors that was out there. There weren't very many other ones. Um, and it was fun, I will say, but you know, like I only taught about 4 people out there, so the thrill wasn't as much as what it is in the United States. So, here's some more pictures. So it's time for question and answers. I'll stop sharing. All right. So, Hannah, how do you want to do the question and answers?
We can do them any way you want, honey. Thank you so much for being here and for you know, talking about your journey and and talking about, you know, how you and your mom opened this store.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
really appreciate it. And also, you know, talking about sort of the way that that you think that things are going in the future with the tariffs and stuff like that. We have Beth. Sometimes people put stuff in the chat. So Beth says, what do you think lies in the future for beading?
So from what I see is, I see a lot of quick and easy things coming. It's either going to be more on the embroidery side or more on the instant gratification side. So whereas some things that will take time will be more on the embroidery side, I don't see this huge resurgence for seed beading or freeform or anything like that. So with when it comes to the bead stitches right now. And it's just because again, a lot of other things were thrown into the loop and into the mix and when that happened, which was, like Swarovski decided that they were going to have their time and not sell really to retailers, to the end retailers like us. Which, impacted you guys as well because, what your supply is and what you can get. And it angered a lot of the teachers to be able to do and to use some of that stuff. So, so it brought in other people like Preciosa and a lot of the Chinese crystals to be able to come about. But, do they have the same quality, standard, name, long-standingness as Swarovski? No. But then again, like a lot of a lot of the national instructors are just no longer using them. So, but yeah, so I see it either going instant gratification side or more towards the bead embroidery where they bring in other stuff like cross stitching and all these other things with it, and incorporate beads into that.
You're talking more multimedia. So is that something that you think that the stores should consider carrying? And do you want to talk a little bit about, sort of the things that like the lyrics and stuff that you guys have?
Yeah. So I do think that stores should consider that. We're trying to do that as well with, the gold work and the soutache and stuff like that. A lot of that can be turned into bead embroidery or multimedia, which, Hannah knows a lot about as well. So she dabbles in that. But yeah, so I think that it would be a better way for them to kind of have this resurgence a little bit, to bring in people from other crafts, reintroduce them into beading, and show the love and what you can do with it. Because a lot of people are just blind to the fact that you can do a lot of this stuff with beads because they just haven't experienced it yet. It's just not popular right now. So, so we just kind of have to show people and bring it back. But I do think by introducing a little bit of the more mixed media, other arts, then we can do that way.
Nani would like to know what kind of classes you offer.
Uh, so we offer classes from national instructors like, Hannah and Cliff and Cynthia Rutledge. We've had pretty much everybody in the past has been through that place. Currently we probably host about 5 different artists throughout the year. And we do offer classes in store for like beginners and stuff like that, where people can learn just the basic, 5 stitches, and grow from there. We do have a lot of open beading tables, so that way people can bring in patterns, and if they need help and assistance, we'll be happy to help them. So, but mostly right now, we bring in, some national instructors via Zoom mostly, and people can take classes from there.
So let me go ahead and jump onto that as well. I believe that in July, Cliff has a new class that he's teaching, and then Cynthia Rutledge always comes, is it December?
December.
Right. And then Leslie Fruman also told me that she has some new classes she's working on, so we'll be scheduling some Leslie Fruman classes as
I
well.
do love Leslie. She's a sweetheart.
She really is.
No,
So
are those,
they tend to be more the intermediate through the advanced
Yes, ma'am.
that they answer.
okay. So are those just in person or are they available via Zoom as well?
They are mostly are in Zoom. Sometimes they're in person if we can bring the instructor in. Again, we find that there's that happy medium that we also have to make money to be able to afford the flight and the hotel for the
Oh, yeah.
instructor when they're there.
Sure.
So, so mostly Zoom right now, but we do, like I brought in Hannah, just recently. She was at the shop, but nobody came in. So, so it's just kind of like, what do we do? So, but always Zoom is available.
Great.
Yeah, that class had 24 in it, and and none of them came in. I'm putting the link. We only have two classes right now listed on Etsy, but I'm putting them into the link. Joanne would like to know, do you think that due to the fact that younger people are finding things difficult is the reason that we're aging out?
I don't think it's necessarily that it's difficult. I think that it is, like I said, more of an instant gratification. Let's take the friendship bracelets from Taylor Swift. They were making those by the thousands. So, but again, it's instant gratification. How long does it take to string something on stretchy cord? Doesn't take that long. But for me, it was different because I use beading as therapy in between classes when I was studying and stuff like that. It was just a way for me to de-stress and decompress. But I welcome the challenge. I don't think necessarily this generation welcomes the challenge like that. I think they just want instant gratification. And that comes along with things like Amazon, where, our package is shipped to the door. For me, it's a couple hours. I don't know where you guys live, but for me, like literally I can order something and 2 hours later it shows up at my door. So, so I think it all turns in like that. It's just that our society is so different now that the kids just don't want to wait for things. And it's not that they don't welcome the challenge or they think it's too hard or they don't want to learn. It's just that they have gotten so used to be able to, type something on the internet, it shows up, ask Chat GPT and they tell you how to do it, order something from Amazon and it shows up in 2 hours. So when it comes to beading, it's not instant gratification other than the friendship bracelets for Taylor Swift. You have to dedicate time. You have to dedicate energy. You have to read your patterns. You have to understand it. So, now there is a subset of people that, of the younger generation that do enjoy knitting and crocheting and stuff like that. Now that's not instant gratification, but it's repetitive. It's the same thing over and over again. We don't necessarily have that in beading as well either, unless you're doing a peyote pattern, or something like flat peyote or something like that. It's, it takes time. And so that's kind of like, how do we get past that? How do we tell people that, the younger generation, that time is valuable, yes, but it also gets you something way better in the end. And that's really hard to do because they just don't see it because they can get so much of that instant gratification right away. So, and I unfortunately don't have the answer for that. So
I think that TikTok is problematic. We have a couple more questions. So, the first one is, I'm gonna take Svetlana's first because I think I just said TikTok and this is related, and then I'll get back to Beth's. Do you have a YouTube channel? And if so, does it help to promote your business?
So we do have a YouTube channel. I don't know if it helped necessarily to promote the business, but we do have a YouTube channel. We have a dog. And the dog helps promote the business. So Connor is the shop dog. He is my golden retriever. Hannah will claim part of him. We're in a 50-50 relationship with Connor, right, Hannah? So
I think so, yes.
we share him. He's like a divorced child. So, but he drives a lot of business. So more so than some of the YouTube videos. Now, we are on TikTok as well, and we're doing a lot more on there. And we want to move some of the videos that we have on YouTube. And again, because they're longer, we're looking at making them into shortened versions. Again, for that instant gratification, because if it takes longer than 2 minutes, people don't want to watch it. So, so yes. So we're in that industry and we're trying to drive more traffic that way. So
the next question is from Beth. She says, yeah, she heard me talk about Italian lyrics and she wants to know if you can talk about it a little bit. She says she hasn't seen it before.
Sure. So Lorix is almost like a knitted wire. It's soft though. So it's not like, the other types where it's just like really tough, really, stiff. It's kind of, there was a wire product in the past that was kind of like soft like that. I can't remember the name of it. That was here in the United States for a while. Not like
Wire knits.
what was it? Wire
I think
knit?
it was called wire knits. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah. It comes in different forms. So it comes in a tube form where it's got, you know, like a plastic tubing on the inside and just the knitted wire on the outside, mainly gold, silver, or rose gold. There is some black in there too, but then there comes in the form. So Hannah showed you the picture from my Toho challenge. The lariat portion of it is is Lurex as well. So, so it's very soft, fluid. It's really nice. It feels good on the skin and it doesn't turn. So that's another thing about it that I like. And I'm pretty sure Hannah could put some links to it for Etsy so that way you guys can go take a look at it. But I'd be happy to send some with Hannah one of these days so you guys can touch it and feel it at one of your meetings. So
I was gonna try to go ahead and find the picture again, but I think I've closed it up there, so of your Toho challenge. The next question is, do you allow customers to bring their dogs into the store?
absolutely. The more the merrier. We love animals. So the only thing I don't like is really snakes. So, but you know, if you have cats, you can bring anything else other than a snake into the shop. So but yeah, we love dogs, we love animals, you know, and we have our floor is cement, so it cleans up really easily if we do have a potty accident. So so yes, please bring them.
Any other questions, guys?
I have a question. So Stephanie, you said that there were a lot of bead stores when you first opened your store. Are you finding like in the Minneapolis area that bead stores are closing? There are fewer bead stores now?
Oh, I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Are
It
there
kind
are
of
there
broke on this
fewer
side,
bead
so.
stores now than when you opened?
Yes, for sure. For sure, fewer bead stores. So in the Atlanta area alone, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we had 6 bead stores in the Atlanta area. We're the only ones left.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
So, and that's Atlanta. So,
Yeah.
so, you know, let's keep that in mind. So it is a big metropolitan area, but
Mhm.
because we are a big metropolitan area, it means we got a lot of ground to cover. We're in the north, east section of Atlanta. So we're not
Okay.
downtown in the city or anything like that. So people do have to travel to us. Again, it's the, you know, the COVID thing where people don't travel as far as they used to get things. They don't, you know, they don't want to spend a lot of times in the stores. They rather shop online. So, so yeah, there is a lot fewer bead stores, and I fear that within the next couple of years, especially with like the situation with tariffs, we're gonna have a lot less as well. So,
Wow.
Noni, I'm gonna try to find some photos of Stephanie's work to show you because she's not in the store right now. She's north, but meanwhile, Jan would like to know what type of beading projects do you like to work on?
so I like challenging things. I do like designing and creating. I don't do it as much as I used to because I just don't have the time like I used to. But I enjoy bead embroidery and bead weaving. My favorite stitch, favorite by far, is Hannah's gonna laugh at me. No, I'm not gonna say brick stitch. I hate brick stitch. But my most favorite is is cubic right angle weave. So or prismatic right angle weave. So I
Mhm.
do a lot with that. I also do a lot with netting. So if you look at a lot of my designs, you'll see either netting or right angle weave of some form in those designs. So I feel like you can do a lot with that, and you can encapsulate a lot of different beads and you know, stones in that as well. So
Mhm.
but bead embroidery is also one of my favorites.
I'm going to go ahead and try to share the pattern and kit page of Bijou now, guys, because Stephanie has quite a few of her designs on that. I don't know if it'll work. We'll find out. So, so let me know whether or not
Yep.
Okay, so when I click on that, did the Stella?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so I can go ahead and just click through and just show you a couple of her pieces. That one's mine.
Amatrice. That's one of my favorites. I love that one.
Yep. So
It just looks like a bead explosion.
I like it. Oops.
That's beautiful.
Let's see. You know what? I love this one.
I do like that one too.
So
Wow.
so this one uses some of the lyrics right here.
Yeah, that's actually silver silk, but you can also use lyrics. And
Oh, is that the silver silk?
yeah,
Okay,
that's
my
silver
bad.
silk. No, that's
So,
fine. Same,
uh-huh.
it's a knitted wire, just like Lorex is.
See if I can come down here and find that other one that you were talking about really enjoying. Oh, here it is.
Oh, Magdalena.
Yep.
Yeah.
No.
So that's, you could see the netting in that one. And then the stone, to capture the stone, is actually right angle weave.
So,
But again, like a bead explosion. It just looks like beads threw up all over the place. It's great.
yeah. Anyway, those are some of the work that she does. And once again, I accidentally closed her. I closed her.
Man, we have 2,500 reviews. Look at that.
I know, right?
5 stars. Heck yeah.
So yeah, right. So we and I closed her Toho challenge. Sorry about that, guys. So.
It's very rarely that I see this side of Etsy, so you know, so that's why I get a little bit of interest in that. I was like, wow, really? Okay.
Any other questions, guys?
Thank you. It was interesting to hear the perspective of a store owner.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the stores as much as you all do. We definitely appreciate it. You know, even though you might not hear it from some of your local bead store owners, we definitely appreciate, we love seeing people. So as often as you can visit a local bead store, please do step on in and just come and hang out. You don't have to buy anything. We just love to see people. Because we don't see very many people. I ship a lot of packages. Don't see a lot of faces. So
Well, Stephanie, you heard me say that we're starting a new webpage called Support Your Local Bead Store. So
yes, ma'am.
we'll make sure to get your information. Hannah, you can help with that to put on our webpage.
Thank you. Yes.
So when people are visiting our Atlanta, we'll highlight that.
Right.
Be sure to check out B2.
That's
Right.
right.
It's
We'll have to get a party bus together and get you all down here.
All right. All right.
So Maggie says, thanks for your presentation and sharing your insights. And Beth says, thanks. She really enjoyed hearing your story and she will shop her local bead store later this week.
Please do.
Mhm.
Yeah. They enjoy us. They enjoy seeing you guys, I swear. And I appreciate, thank you guys so much for allowing me a
Thank
chance to
you.
come over and speak.
Thank
And
you.
anytime. I think it was beneficial for you guys to hear from our side as well. So and I hope it wasn't all doom and gloom. I hope it was like a little bit of you know, a good side to it, you know. So
By the way,
Definitely.
speaking of local bead stores, if you're ever in Honolulu, check out the Bead Gallery.
Oh,
Jamie
cool.
she is a sweet lady. She's amazing. They've got a ton of stuff. I spent a whole lot of money.
Girl, go for it. Thank you. Thank you for supporting her as
last week.
well.
And I mean, pretty much all of us on the cruise, we tried to make a point of visiting the store at some point before we left Honolulu.
No, that is
So
that is
we gave
awesome.
her a lot of business.
Hey, you know what? I know she appreciated that. So, and I hope you enjoy your cruise.
Well, it's almost done. I'm getting off the ship tomorrow, and
Hey, memories last forever. So
Yeah.
that's what you gotta know about.
I'm already scheduled for next year.
Oh,
So
there you go. See, memories will last for 1 year until you have the next one. There you go.
exactly.
Just as a reminder, guys, you can always watch previous meetings on our channel, our own Upper Midwest Bead Society channel. We have a public one and a private one once you're a member. And Jan, can you remember the password? Because I can never remember it.
Member.
Oh, there you go.
That was
We made it
hard.
really easy.
That
Really
little M
easy.
at the start.
And Stephanie, you will now become a member because
Oh,
you've
heck
been a free
yeah.
membership for a year.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sounds like me watching myself back. Oh, love
Yeah.
the sound of my voice.
Well, we've got about 3 years, I think, of Let's Be Live and monthly meetings. So
Okay, well, I'll watch those and not me because, you know, like it'll be like nails on a chalkboard for me.
well, this is
So,
great, Stephanie, and we really appreciate it.
well, I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. And I hope you all continue beating, and hopefully I'll be able to join you guys for another session and see, you know, all the cool things that you guys get to do. So,
That's great.
all right.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Just as a
Bye.
reminder, guys, next month Cliff will be speaking, and then the Saturday Bead Live, we're actually going to be doing a trunk show of his work.
Great. And this Saturday at the Let's Be Live, bring in any piece chain work that you've got done.
Lovely.
If you're coming
Thank
to
you,
the
guys.
the meeting in person. All right. Thank you.
Bye.